Hey, what's happening, Gwen? I'm SirJames coming at you guys with another video, and today I'm here to finally share with you guys my 3D printed custom lightsaber, which is 100% compatible with the chassis from Savi's workshop. Now, if you're not familiar what I mean by chassis from Savi's workshop, I'm referring to this component right here, which I've showcased many times from my Savi's workshop saber reviews, which there's plenty of on my channel. But to give you the quick rundown, this is the main core piece where your metal components will eventually go over when you're building your lightsaber from whatever theme you choose. This is going to be exactly the same for every single saber build. How this functions is that in the center is your kyber crystal. So any kyber crystal that you bought from Disneyland will work in here with a few different color options that they have. On the pommel portion will be your battery housing, and then on the front side will be where you insert the blade. Disney offers 3 different blades. So there's the 26-inch blade. If you build a saber at Savi's, by default it's a 31 or 32-inch blade, and there's also a much shorter 26-inch blade. It's very simple as that. Now this custom one here is 3D printed components that are utilizing this core piece. So here I already have electronics installed, and I can have it to whatever crystal I want to put in here to get the desired effect. And what's really cool about these 3D printed components is because for anyone that's familiar with my channel, you guys know that I have already collected all the scrap metal from Savi's workshop from all the different themes and some duplicates to create a really cool saber staff. Now, because I've collected everything from there and even the legacy sabers, it's to the point where it's like, now I don't know what to do with the collection. You know, I want to add more, but I can't because there's nothing that being offered. But now that I have a 3D printer, I have more options available to me, which I'm actually looking forward to printing some more projects, which hopefully you guys are looking forward to as well. So let me go ahead and give you guys a closer look here. Now, as mentioned, this is Ventress's lightsaber, which we'll go over the information in just a moment. Now, you'll notice you could also see the light blinking, which is yellow, because she does have a yellow crystal, which again, we'll explain that in just a moment too. But just as a little bit of a proof of concept here, we have the chassis from Savi's workshop, which I painted. And you can see the blinking light, which that was no modification, that's there by default, by the way. And because you have these holes here, it actually works out just sliding over and getting that desired effect, because I was trying to match as closely as I possibly could when it comes to the concept art that I found online, and I think I've done a pretty good job with that. Now, one thing I want to point out is this top portion with the emitter, this little plug piece here. No, a blade cannot fit with that in it. In order to put a blade in it, you have to remove this to insert a blade, which kind of takes away from the look a little bit. But when a blade is not in use, you can just pop it back on, and then you are good to go. And this has a functional switch too, which is pretty neat, because I remember when people were creating some custom parts, how it originally started is that people mentioned that were selling different pieces where they stated you needed to have the core piece and you needed to have some kind of activation plate from any of the different sets, and then people were selling pretty much 4 out of the 5 parts, which will be the sleeves, the pommel, and the emitter, and that's about it. But thankfully the community have figured out how the switch works and made some really cool basic pieces to make it all function, which I think is really, really cool. Now, anyways, as I mentioned, this is Ventress's lightsaber. Some people are going to point out, but wait a minute, didn't Ventress have red sabers? Or most people are accustomed to Ventress having red lightsabers, which are the sabers that Count Dooku originally gave her. However, in Clone Wars, which I'm not going to say which episode or who took them, but her saber ends up getting stolen and she never gets them back. And Ventress, going with the whole bounty hunter route, is that she ends up acquiring a new lightsaber that she obtained from the black market. Now, I read in another article, which I think this one's a little bit wrong in some areas, where it stated that she ended up building another lightsaber, which I don't think that that's the case. Her getting it from the black market makes perfect sense. But when it came to the yellow crystal that's inside, it was stated in one of the informations that I read, and feel free to let me know if this is completely wrong or if it seems more accurate, is that it stated that the kyber crystals kind of form terms of coloration to the owner of it. And to this point, where for Ventress, you know, she's no longer with the Sith, and you know, she's not towards the Jedi. She's kind of like in between everything, and I'm trying to figure out the proper terms. Between everything, but like not too far one over the other, and which is why she wields now a yellow bladed lightsaber versus a red, or what she originally had when she was a young Padawan in the Jedi Order. But like I said, I just really liked how this initially turned out in the end. Now, one of the things that I will point out is that for the 3D files, everything seemed to work perfectly. The only little issue that I had was the pommel area where the battery compartment is, because I actually have another piece right here. Let's see if I can show you guys. This top part here originally actually had another section to it where you would screw in, but that easily snapped off. So what I ended up doing for version 2.0 is that I took some super glue and I went around the edges about 2 or 3 times to kind of give it that extra layer and strength. And all I did was when I put it back on the second time, once all that was dried up, is that I was careful to the point where it was a snug fit. I didn't over tighten it, because if I do, the part that snapped originally would probably snap again. And that's probably the only challenge that I had as far as that goes. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is that for the activation switch, how this functions is that you have your main parts here that cover the kyber crystal, and then there's 2 plastic components that attach together with your main switch, and there's one key component that you need to make it all work, is that you also need to have a little magnet. I'll actually put a link to the magnets down below, so if you do end up doing this project, you'll have the correct magnets to use, and you'll have plenty of extras to spare. I think it was like $6 or $7 for a pack of 100, so even if you don't know what to do for the extras, you could always make some fridge magnets if you wanted to. So let me go ahead and show you that this is compatible and functional with the blade, because again, the core piece is by default. I don't really need to showcase in terms of movement. You guys already know how these sabers sound and how the movement works. Now, as far as the durability goes, I printed this with an infill of 20. And it's definitely sturdy in the hands. Now, I will say that it feels very weird. And the only reason why I say that is because for anyone that's ever built a lightsaber from Savi's workshop, you guys know the heft that these things have because the components are made of metal. But seeing as this one is the plastic chassis with 3D printed components, it's very, very lightweight. So it's a little bit off-putting, but honestly, it's just a really cool fact that you could actually come up and print different character sabers to make it function with just a core piece like this, which is pretty neat. To kind of give you some other comparisons here, let's see. So here is a comparison with a Starkiller lightsaber that I reviewed not that long ago. So obviously you're going to have that major size difference between the two. Another difference is a 3D printed Darksaber that I have done. And then another comparison here is the Jedi Fallen Order lightsaber with Ventress's lightsaber. There you go. So that's a little bit of a size difference for the saber in question. Like I said, I just have a few different projects that I've been kind of working on. So in the end, what do I think about this? And as far as the files go, I think the files are great. Like I said, you just have that one issue as far as the pommel goes. To the point, I'm going to give this person a 9 out of 10. Now, it could be, and again, I'm still fairly new to 3D printing. it could be that I probably did something wrong when I printed the pommel piece. But regardless, if that's the case, I will fix that on my end. But for now, I'm easily giving this a 9 out of 10. So if you have access to a 3D printer, I would highly encourage you guys to maybe print this one. And now what I ended up doing, just to kind of give you the quick rundown, is for this bottom sleeve here, I actually printed this with support. So you're going to have to knock out the support for all these little ridges here. Very simple. When you do end up printing the switch right here, make sure you do not, once again, do not add support. If you do, then how the whole mechanism works isn't going to clamp on properly. So make sure you do not add support on this one. As far as this section goes here with the holes, I did not add support. I originally did, but it left a huge mess. It didn't work out as well. So you don't need any support on this, but when it comes to this portion here, the emitter section, make sure you do add support because it'll help you give those cleaner edges. And that's really about it. Like I said, there's nothing really too much that I needed to point out. Just wanted to kind of share with you guys how this initially turned out, which I'm very pleased with. Like I said, I have other projects that I'm working on. As I mentioned, you know, I have the Darksaber here. I have the Fallen Order one, which I did order electronics for. This is actually suited to have electronics inside. I just don't have anything to put in it at this very moment. And then I have another Jedi Fallen Order Saber hilt, which has the kind of chipping destroyed portion at the end here, but that's also being worked on. And as far as the Savi sabers, there's a few other projects that I've seen. There's one that's based off Ezra's lightsaber from Star Wars Rebels Season 1 and 2. There's another one that's also a Jedi Fallen Order saber like this, except it's a lot bigger in size, and it's actually compatible with Savi's Workshop chassis. And there's also one that's based off Rey's lightsaber, which, speaking of Rey's lightsaber, just want to showcase with this really quick. I have this little thing here that's kind of being worked on. And this is little gadget here, or gizmo, that's supposed to, like, when you twist this, it's supposed to raise this platform and open these sections up. You know, like it's been activated, which I'm still trying to get everything working correctly, but there's just kind of a few things I wanted to share with you guys really quick. As I mentioned, a link to the magnets are down below. The link to the file is down below, so if you have access to a 3D printer, highly recommend you guys give this one a try, print it out, maybe add it to your collection. But like I said, it's a really fun experience, and I'm looking forward to many more along the way. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next video upload, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. See you guys later.